Okay, let's just go with the challenges within Africa, which is much more simple and relevant to talk about. See, thing is, in within Africa, we do have a lot of land. We don't need to go for solutions like vertical farming, and expensive solutions are not needed. For example, the picture what you're seeing in front, this is one of our initiative which we have done in South Africa, which is already featured on UNDP program and everywhere. So this is like a 2000-hectare program. In this area, there was never any development as such. Even the roads were not available for 15-20 kilometers. And but this area has got a Togela river passing through, and it has never been developed. So this is what we have done. So it was pretty much like a bush. It was like this when we looked into this. Within 9 months, we were able to convert into a farmable land where they were able to produce the crops, and it was able to create around 300 jobs there. That means it's like livelihood. It's a permanent, long run exercise. So this is what we have in Africa. So we have a lot of land, but we don't know where to start and what do we do with it. So that's something which we can take advantage of and what we can do. Okay, so this one obviously we introduce new crop which can generate more yield and more revenue to it. And in this exercise, we worked with the people. So we were able to rally the troops, like people itself. Only the foreign people are only 4 people to manage it. But we used everyone internal within the community. We were able to bring all of them together, and then obviously government played a major role. It was not like a heavy infrastructure, but it is the basic requirement, basic infrastructure, irrigation, some of those things are needed. That's where the government is supported. But the hard work is all done using the local resources, which are abundant. Obviously, people are there who are looking for a hope and jobs. So that is something which we were able to do. But in this one, what we were able to bring in is we were able to introduce new crops into the system, which were never grown in the country, but which have got a higher revenue potential. We were able to introduce, and that has raised the market potential. Now you have exposure to export the product, you are able to consume it, higher protein kind of a product, but also you are able to export a long life. So there's soya. I mean, obviously you know soya, but this is a black eyed peas, which is very famous in US. So this was never grown in South Africa before. We introduced that one in South Africa. So this is not high tech farming. We don't need, because obviously vertical farming, for what you are able to do in one 5,000 square meters, you are able to grow the same within 2,000 hectares, and which can run for a longer period. So that's the obviously we need to work solutions based on the problems what we perceive. So the problems what I see within Africa is more about market reach, and as such a hand holding. Obviously, this is more, how, what is the success of this, or why, what kind of model is used on this? If you're interested, that's a one thing. But I mean, okay, I will, and then from an opportunity perspective, right now, the peak one, which we can bridge the traditional farming with traditional farming along with the new carbon generation. So that is a more a viable option. Um, s- our topic of desert farming is only relevant in a very, very little area, but I will take you through a little bit of it. But what I mean, we will talk based on your questions, okay? It's a a small group, so we will talk based on your interests, or else we'll be talking something which is not relevant to you, and you will forget after we go back. We'll leave the conversation. So let's just talk on it, okay? So they see the desert. A desert might not be in Africa, but some of the technologies what we have used can be utilized within drought-prone areas. Even in US, there is California. There's where is the water is a issue. Within Africa, you have a lot of water issues. So some of these can be utilized, but these are traditional farming solutions. Um, I will touch on the carbon quickly. I mean, if that is of interest to you. Anyway, so within the desert areas, some of the challenges people face or a drought. I mean, instead of desert, you can talk of a water scarcity reasons why crops cannot be grown or anything cannot be grown because there is limited amount of water available, extreme weather conditions because the heat is rising, and soil quality is also not very good. And not many plants can grow. Like Tola has earlier indicated, there's very few crops which can be grown in certain part of the areas, not because soil is not conducive, but people don't have information. So that is the previous example which I've shown you alludes to the same point that when you don't introduce a crop, you don't even know you have the information, then you cannot introduce any such crops, and because they don't know how to market or what can they do about it. So this is something which we were able to do in a desert. So these are the challenges. With these challenges, if we have the solutions to address the challenges, that's when we can address it. So we were able to do solve these challenges and create solutions for that using our technology called breathable sand. So we have a couple of innovations. If nothing else, what you could take from this conversation would be that these are technologies which will transform the global food security and water security for the next decade. So that's what you can take away from this session. But you can stop me anytime. We will have an open mic event. Don't have to wait until the whole conversation to ask me questions. You can stop. So that will become more interactive for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm
Uh,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to jump here, Chandra. I've reached out to you on LinkedIn. I'm extremely interested in this next step, so I'm gonna follow up with you on that channel, if that's okay with you. But this is really awesome. I didn't even heard of this stuff, and I'm already going down the rabbit hole of what all these technologies can do. So I just want to apologize for that, but I do want to have a follow up with this.
okay, no problem. So in terms of yeah, so the desert region, obviously, I've mentioned the challenges. So within those ones, oh, Malcolm has left already. Okay, that's
Yes,
fine.
he has. But I do want, Bassie, you're on here as well. Um, please, any questions that you would have about what we're doing with fumigation, especially in the Senegal region, I would love for you to pick his brain, please, sir, because a lot of what we're doing could probably use some, yeah, could definitely use some indicators as well, sir.
Okay. So
Sorry, so
I
I
mean,
joined later, but why I'm pretty noisy.
I'm sorry, Bassie.
Like I said, I joined late. I missed some of the presentation, but where I'm at the airport is pretty noisy here.
Yes, sir. So Bassie, can you just I'm sorry, go ahead, Sandra. I'm sorry. I wanted you to let you finish, please, sir.
okay. So yeah, so I mean, our innovations transform the way those challenges affect the food security within the drought-prone areas. In some of these areas, you cannot grow a lot of these things, a lot of crops where weather doesn't help them with addressing the challenges, growing the crops and all of it. So we have a couple of innovations which transform that situation. So one of that is called breathable sand. This breathable sand is manufactured using desert sand. And what this does is it allows for giving additional aeration to the plants, consumes less water. It is a desert sand, modified desert sand. So it gives additional plant growth while consuming 80% water, less water. So this one allows us to use this technology to grow in the harsh climates, in the drought-prone areas. So that's where we were able to successfully grow within the desert regions. So it can be implemented by anyone. It doesn't require special technology implementation people or anything. It can be utilized by anyone as such, local people, and it allows to use marginal lands which have got low nutrients and everything. So it can save on all of those costs. In the traditional farmings, that's what happens there. So maybe what I can do is I'll pause the share for a little while and I'll show you before we lose the rest this thing. Okay, so I've got if you are able to see my camera, so what
Yes.
we have got is this breathable sand is a special site type of a sand which is using the desert sand as a raw material to create this particular breathable sand. What this breathable sand does is it allows us to grow the plants. This pot is made from that breathable sand. It looks like any other terracotta pot, which you are very familiar with, clay pots all around the world. But this one shows you why we are able to grow plants in a desert regions, which is very harsh climate. I mean, I'm pouring in water. It's obviously like any other pot. This a pot. Um, okay,
He was just letting us know it's noisy. I'm sorry, sir.
okay. I think okay. So it depends. Okay. You guys, or we rather do it later? What is it? Okay, I'll continue. It's fine. You can see it. Whoever is available there, they can see it, and the others can watch it in the recording if you are available. So, like, I have poured in the water. If you can look into it, it looks like any other clay pot and it is able to hold the water. There's no magic on it, but why the plants grow is what this breathable sand demonstrates and this pot demonstrate. It looks like a normal pot, but this is a special pot which is made from that breathable sand. And this shows you why we are able to grow plants in a desert prone areas or drought prone areas. It is able to
Wow.
hold the water, but the air is freely traveling. So that is what it does. So and by using the breathable sand, just 1 centimeter of it in the soil, it allows us to retain 80% more water. So it saves about 80% irrigation. So which is a very, very considerable in terms of the agricultural costs. It is not a magic, it's every side. So the pot itself is fully breathable, and that's what does the magic in terms of creating that low water consumption solution. And then what it does is it allows us to endless possibilities in terms of what we are able to do with that kind of a technology, which can be shown what you have seen there. But at the same time, what it can do is enormous potential. So this is the story which I presented in UN 2019. Using this breathable sand, we were able to grow in a harsh desert totally. If you look into the right image, is a desert area, but we were able to grow rice and fish together in this farm, and it looks like an arable country. But in any way, in Africa we don't have this problem. We do have a good soil. What we need is more of a soft skills and investment, but in a right manner. Okay, so that's what is needed. But this is obviously, as you are already seeing it, I'm just showing it to you what it is that you can do to marginal lands. So in the marginal lands, water is an issue and the soil quality is an issue. And if we are able to do that for a desert, you can do that for any region. So in a desert, we were able to grow high quality, better yield, uh, and less water consuming plants in an organic manner. So if that so the deserts can become a food bowl for the world. Okay. So you can actually create forests in a desert. We can create orchards in a desert. I would still suggest orchards, not going for rice and wheat kind of a crops, but orchards are good, and they can also yield a very good carbon revenue as well. So this is some of the larger farm implementations we were able to do. You can actually grow different, and like now these is the mangoes which are grown in a harsh desert where it is very difficult to grow any plant. The temperatures soar beyond 50 degrees, and the soil is got high salinity. But using this breathable sand, we were able to grow these mango orchards within a desert area, and the yields are on par with an arable country, which is very important. Obviously, with a breathable sand, if you look into this one, this is what it can do. Without a breathable sand, the root system is very little, and then you have a very few stronger roots. So there's no stability among the plant itself. But as they typically the plants still survive with the nutrients and all of it whatever you give, but it is unhealthy. But the right hand side, it is still the same desert sand, same location, same exactly, all conditions are the same, but the root system is stronger. When the roots are better, the plant health is also better. The color of the leaves is also, it's a good indication of what it is. This breathable sand is what, that is what it is doing. If you look into this video, this is one of the location where similar, just to show a smaller one. On the left hand side is a normal irrigation, where you are able to see pale yellow leaves and all, which shows that unhealthy. On the right hand side is with breathable sand. If you look into the color of the leaves and the number of flowers, it is high. But the water consumption on this is 75% less water used. So that is what in a marginal lands you are able to use less water, but it is also bridging the gap of converting them into arable land. So that is what our technology is able to do, and what we can look into. So these are some of the larger initiatives which we were able to do. The top two I presented at UN 2019, where in a harshest desert we were able to grow rice, fish, and ducks together. The bottom ones are the forestation program. Obviously, forestation program is a way to go within in Africa as well, because right now there is a huge need for carbon generation, and there's a lot of land available in Africa which can be utilized, and that can become a very good investment avenue. So we could look into a lot of investors coming in and joining forces to create that foresting structure to generate carbon credits, where all the other developed countries can take advantage of. So that means it allows us to flow. Anyway, this technology allows us to use or grow any kind of a crops. There's a lot of seasonal crops which we can grow, and also orchards which we can grow, and vegetables also which we can grow. We can create water bodies. It's fine. So we are able to create forests, we are able to create food forests, which can be self-sustaining and all of it as well. And these using these technologies to create these structures allow us to create a difference in the world. And suppose the sustainable development goals, the UN sustainable development goals, which everyone is embarking on the COP28 and COP27s, and now COP29, which is coming upcoming one. The focus is around reducing the emissions. With these technologies, we are able to reclaim the desert land, so that's SDG 13. We are able to grow food, that is SDG 2. We are able to collect clean water, so that is SDG 6. And then obviously responsible utilization of the resources, that is 12. And then biodiversity, increasing the different kind of crops which we can grow in marginal areas. So that's also something. Please go ahead. You can stop me anytime, Tola.
Hey, quick question with the breathable sand. On average, how much water do you save as far as you're able to, like, as far as the forestation piece goes?
80% water, but in terms of a forest,
Ooh,
you don't really need. And see, forest is a different story, but we are talking
yes.
about marginal areas, okay? Marginal areas where you have a very, very little fertile land. And in those areas, how do we take advantage of those lands to generate and use? Create foresting is a very good one. I will share some of that story as well just now.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine. So let's look into it. So this is another innovation of ours, which is for harvesting the water. This is another story which creates massive infrastructure. So this is now not a smaller. Obviously, this innovation, whatever innovations I show you, these are the world-changing innovations. So this is a tile which you can see in front of me. So this allows us to harvest the water. So this is a topic on the sponsity. If you look into it, so as can you see what is happening? So every raindrop which falls on the ground, if it can be harvested, we are able to collect lot of water. And with that one, this solves two problems. One is collecting, harvesting, and reusing the water. But apart from that, it is also creating potable water in difficult areas. Obviously, there is rain, but there's no drinking water. In such areas, we are able to harvest the water, store the water, and that brings in the concept of sponsities, which will be the way the new infrastructure is going to be developed. So this, whatever you material you have seen, is the newer. I mean, there's zero pores. There's zero pores, as you can see in the camera, is zero pores, but it can harvest every drop of water. So this is a newer age technology as what will the new infrastructure solutions which will be coming up. The roads you can build with them with that material. You can build roads in it. You can build a whole city infrastructure. So that allows us to harvest a lot of rainwater. Apart from that, you can also store the water without electricity. That is where the portability comes in. When you are able to collect and create, store rainwater, which is available for drinking for a longer period. So now you are bringing taking the water closer to people where they are very less. So this junctions is what we can look into within Africa side and some of the marginal areas how we could use these technologies to do it. So this is the infrastructure solution as to what we can look into and do. Um, okay, please. I mean, if you have any questions, if then we can talk on those ones. In terms of the, you know,
No, of
but in
course.
terms of the Africa, yeah, Africa is more about the soft skills with the whole model about how do we bring farming across and taking across. Now, for from an investment angle, the carbon sequestration is the best angle to go about. Anyway, we don't have a lot of okay. So this is something which you may be able to take it forward as a carbon sequestration initiative. You can stop me anytime, you don't have to wait for me to wrap something talking and then I can ask.
Hey,
Okay,
hey,
so
No,
Chandra,
carbon,
this Kamar. This
yes,
Kamar.
Kamal.
With the hey, with some of the on average, with when you bring this technology and then farm and what's the cost that you use to or charge to or to do a project like this? What's the average cost to get one launched?
See, again, what do we launch? Okay, so it depends on what solution. So, I mean, right now, as I see it, farming um, is an wide topic. Desert farming, I mean, you could do that for a couple of $1 million, and you can do it for the same $100 million or $1 billion. So it again depends on now. Okay, I think the more relevant question is opportunity. What exactly you want to do? Sponsity is the minimum. Sponsity is for harvesting of the rain, and that solution is a different one. It's an infrastructure one. So infrastructure solutions are all very high end in terms of a cost, but there are different infrastructure funds available for that. But let's look into the foresting program, which is a carbon sequestration. That is a more relevant topic to everywhere. The technologies will come in handy, but there is a I mean, Africa can become a source for carbon sequestration, which everyone looks into. If it is of a topic of interest, then I'll explain a little bit. If not, we just go into the metrics on it. I'll talk on it. Carbon sequestration is more about generating with the trees. By planting the trees, it generates carbon sequestration and carbon credits. And with the net zero being taking prominence everywhere around the world, they need to generate their own carbon credits, because every organization need to offset the carbon credits. So that's where the carbon credit comes into. There are two. How we generate, obviously this generates, so we are able to trade the carbon credits in the open markets, and the prices on that carbon credits is very good prices, which allows us to plant the trees. So we were able, with our technologies, we were able to create the Vera listed carbon credit program. Vera listing allows us to trade carbon credits more openly, and we can command higher prices. So that's what it does. So with these two technologies, we are able to grow in the marginal areas and create a GABA. So within this GABA, what it does is it creates a forest program, but it also a recreational area, and it offsets the carbon credits for the various countries, regions. And sorry, I took the wrong one. Okay. So it can create the carbon revenue. A lot of companies have to offset carbon their emissions, to either to meet the obligation for the governments, or for to be competitive in the open market. So they are looking for carbon initiatives right now. There's a huge shortage. So there's carbon, anywhere you plant trees is going to be valuable when it is linked to a carbon program. So we are able to generate carbon sequestration, and grow different crops, give different plants, and generating the carbon credits, and those carbon credits can be sold to different companies, and those companies can be large Shell, Cargills of the world's, air companies, Delta. Everyone has got an offset need, and those companies buy carbon credits, and Africa has got a lot of land, and by planting, foresting, we can create. Now, in this program, we can do this 11 million tree program is about $200 million to plant. That is in desert. But within Africa, the cost of planting can be very nominal. It doesn't have to be too expensive. It will be like $1 per tree maximum, whereas in desert it is much higher. So in this instance, maybe we can even do a larger initiative to generate carbon credit, and those things much cheaper. So this project can kick off around $10 million as well. But yeah, compared to the other areas, so that's something which it can do.
You have a few
Uh,
questions as well. He put them inside the
please.
chat right here.
Okay, go on. Please continue. Yeah,
So his first
you
question
can
was,
ask me.
oh, it's noisy in his background. Sorry about that. That's why he ended up texting instead of putting it on here, sir. And his first question was, where has this been successfully deployed? How long has it been deployed? What benefits have been seen? This covers the sand and the road, which retains water.
Okay, yeah. So within China, we've been working within China. The Green Wall in China, out of the 2,000 square kilometers, we play a major role in the Green Wall of China, which is reducing the sand storms and all of it. So that we play a major role in it. And then the examples which I've shown you in my previous slide, where I presented in 2019 UNCCD, that one, UN was an observer from 2012 onwards. Those initiatives in the desert are going on. So it's a long-term stabilized one. In terms of responsibilities, if you Google sponsity, whatever sponsities you see are our technology is used. We form the basis of that technology, whatever, because sponsity word is coined by President Xi of China, and the technology used right from the beginning from 2010, we are behind that technology. The technology is ours. So harvesting of the water. Obviously, different design master planning happens. So those infrastructure solution of a spawn city starts off at almost at $1 billion, because the infrastructure like a roads and stormwater network, that's all at it's a high end cost. But it is infrastructure compared to the traditional costs of laying the roads and infrastructure. This will be slightly expensive, 30%, 40%. But the maintenance costs and the long running costs, it will offset within couple of years. So that is what that one can do.
That goes into
Infrastructure
the
wise,
second question. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. How is the disposed when it gets end of the life? So this is made from desert sand. So obviously there is it becomes spoil part of the soil. There's nothing for it to be decomposed. And the same thing with the bricks. And as there is no cement involved in this, there is no asphalt involved in this material. Literally, it is a sand, so you can recycle it and reuse it if that is a need. But yeah, it can be recycled. So it's a gravel and sand, so that is okay. Negative environmental impacts, none whatsoever, because we were able to grow organic rice by using the breathable sand. And the sponsity, the rain harvesting ones, they've got a very little carbon footprint, as well as there is no asphalt use. So the asphalt is one of the high carbon prone one, so it also reduces that burden as well. From a sustainability point of view, using desert sand, which was not utilized any time before, is one of the biggest sustainable ones, and it's a naturally available material. So that's also sustainable. So sustainability wise, both of these technologies play a major role in it, and that that is something which can.
Um,
Uh,
and his third question as well, sir. Has there been any negative environment impacts when
that's
the
what I've
sand?
answered.
Okay, I'm
I've
sorry.
already answered that. Okay. So that's okay. Okay. Now this forest one, okay, the carbon sequestration, going back onto the metric. So this is what it can generate. For 11 million trees, we can generate 750,000 tons of carbon emissions reduction, which means 750,000 tons of carbon credits. 750,000 carbon credits. Those can be sold in the market, and because we are using marginal lands, the price we command is higher. In Africa, now planting the trees, the carbon credit pricing is around $8, $7. Whereas in the desert regions, when we are able to take advantage of the deserts to convert, the same has got a higher pricing. So that is what you can look into. So this can generate, that can become a monetizing aspect for the for making it attractive for the investors in creating these ones. So now that forestry can become agroforestry, bring in orchards to grow, which can become a food source for the local community, as well as increasing the export of the fruit revenue or food security, while allowing investors to invest and take advantage of carbon program. So that is something one can do. Now, Kamar, for your what you have asked me, how big you want to do? I mean, 11 million trees is a good size. That takes about 25,000 hectares, which is about 250 square kilometers. So 250 square kilometers in Africa, it is available because you have 20,000 hectares farm. I've seen one farm, single farm, which has got 20,000 hectares of land. But again, it is about area, what kind of area we can look into. Foresting programs allows us to do these kind of a large plantations which generate a long-term revenue, and this revenue is 40 years revenue. So you are creating a long-term with a less effort. So you're now able to create food security because local people can do the fruits, but then there is a revenue for investor for 30, 40 years. So that is more attractive to the investors. So there's money flow into the region, and then then it propels the local development of producing the food which people can consume as well as generate some revenue. And the investors can take advantage of the carbon and they can take the carbon revenue, whereas the local people can look into the food security revenue. So this is this model can be used for different people on that basis. Okay, so that's what it can do. So you can decide on which area of the projects which you can look into. If there is a marginal area you want to look into the farming, then we can discuss about those ones. Right now it is just an open discussion, but obviously from the group, not many are farmers. Uh, farmers or with a farming background. But what I understood of the people is more about how you can make a difference. So that's what I was able to show
Exactly.
and what you,
That is
okay. That's about
100%
it.
correct. Man, um, Komar, Dominique, do you guys have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions on my end. Very, very informative though. Thank you.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Dominique, what'd you say?
No, I said I didn't have any questions on my end, but very, very, very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, yeah, I think he's some projects. I know he was exploring in the U.S. I know he's doing some in Africa. Um, Probably. Where else, Chandra? You got projects going? I know you were looking exploring the U.S. Out in the desert west for some of
Yes, I mean, at the moment, we are working in multiple directions
Yeah.
within the GCC, which is the desert areas. We are working within the UAE, Saudi, Qatar, and all. Within
Mhm.
US, we're working with Don Watkins, looking into the marginal areas, because where our experience spans, we do have the technology, but apart from that we also well versed with working with communities in creating an inclusive growth model. So the traditional farming itself we can look into. So that is something which we are working on within US as well. We are working within Africa, not many
Like the
because of
Sahel
the
region, are you looking
funding
into that at all,
options.
sir?
Sorry.
The Sahel region.
Sahara, Sahara, no, not yet, because I don't. It's again who is the investment group which wants to work, and that is based on that we can go forward. See, every country requires a solution, so all of these solutions are needed by every country. But who has got the appetite? Which investor? Because government will not have resources to invest. So we need to look into what is the investor's point of view, which kind of a fund which has got an appetite, and what is the difference they want to make, and based on that we can go ahead and work on those countries and then look into making a difference. If we say that, okay, if you are selling the technology or selling the solution to a country, then funding needs to be there. Someone needs to cover the investment sort of things. Now, the carbon program, I said there should be an investment or a funder who is interested to look into that program, and then we can work with them together. We can go into any country and then do it together. That is something which we can look into. Because right now
I
I'm just
think that's a
talking
good
out of
plan for
blue.
us.
I don't have any idea up to what is the appetite or what exactly you need. I have no idea.
Sir, you have given me ideas. So to be honest with you, we're going to be looking to go to Morocco. That's one of our appointed designations, and just what we're doing. So, just so I know, just so from a monetary point of view, what does a minimum investment look like for you to be able to come into a country to build a ecosystem of this magnitude, sir?
See, so if you look into our perspective, anything
Yes,
around
sir.
100 million dollars is okay. But from
Okay.
a country perspective, for them to look into a pilots and stuff, $10 million is fine. Again, it depends on what they want to achieve. What is the value proposition? And based on that, we look into carbon is the best of avenue, which solves the problem. And these programs, there's a lot of money, UN money available for carbon programs. That's why I mentioned about it. So we need to try and see what is a program, what is a country which is interested in, and then a fund. So the larger the fund, the better, what we can go and do on it. So that's where everyone who is involved everyone is doing for some monetizable aspect of it. So everyone benefits from it. So that's what it is.
So we have a
Smaller the
private
project,
funder,
maybe
sir,
better. Yeah.
that could
Mhm.
really so we have a couple of initiatives with private funding on our end, and it would be nice to do a couple of pilot programs. 100 million is a hard sell to do a pilot, like a pilot program, just initial initiation. But a 10 million, sir, that's not too unfeasible. That's actually something very feasible. One of the countries, Senegal, like you mentioned, Salem. Senegal has the best soil in one of the in Africa for that. It has the highest levels of Salem on the continent. So we're one of the destinations which Komar actually put me on to, which we're starting conversations with, is in Morocco, which is, as you know, like the Sahel region. That is an area where we're going to be looking to do innovation there. So to do a pilot program of 10 million plus what we're doing with cold storage, um, I think that's worth a closer look. I would definitely love to bring you into some of that when it's time. Um, I would come on, am I right on this, sir?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I got a horrible connection, guys, so I apologize. Um, very, very weak. It's one dot on my internet on my computer. So,
Okay.
So
That's wonderful. So
yeah,
you
then
can Ms. Tola, I think you can post the video. You are welcome to post it, but
yeah, I'm actually going to bring you back on
they can
because there's a
follow me
couple of
on.
more people I want to have you meet, sir, that are going to be a part of the decision making for this. Um, so we definitely want to have you back on, and I will make sure they'll be on that call. Bassi was one of the individuals who was asking those questions. His background is very much in your area. Um, yeah, we
Okay,
would
sure.
definitely love for you to come back, but just in general, I do see some opportunities to do a couple of pilot programs, sir. This is
Okay,
we have a couple of initiatives that we really would love your assistance with.
sure, sure. Let's look into it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, Kamar and Tola. Appreciate the inviting me, and look forward. Appreciate. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you
Yes.
guys so much, man. Appreciate you.